Squircle jerk. I've noticed that Mercedes S-Class coupes have depreciated into the $30,000 to $40,000 range. Is this a steal considering these were six figures, or does the maintenance make them a no-go? Which would be a more interesting daily driver, Magnus's high mileage turbo or the one I just sold, the mint green over tan? What's a car everyone else seems to love that you cannot get on board with, and why? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is, as always, brought to you by Off the Record. We love Off the Record. I hope I don't need Off the Record. While you're hearing this show, I'm off on a road and track event in a 740 horsepower Bentley. And my friend just asked me today, how do you drive this car without going to jail? I said, it's a two-tiered strategy. One, I have my Valentine 1 going, I have Waze going, and then if that technology collaboration fails me, I have Off the Record. I've got the app on my phone. You get the app on your phone. Download it. Use code TSTPOD when you set up an account, or go to offtherecord.com/TST, and they will set you up. If you get a ticket, all you got to do is snap a photo of that ticket, snap a scan of that ticket, send it to Off the Record. They will connect you with a qualified attorney that will fight that ticket in the jurisdiction where you got pulled over. They are lifesavers, folks. When you're on the side of the road and the cop is writing that ticket, normally you're mad stressed. Off the Record keeps you calm because you know you've got someone in your corner. It's like, don't even worry about it. They're going to handle it. Download the app. Use code TSTPOD, TSTPOD, 10% off all legal services booked through Off the Record. Same if you use that link, offtherecord.com/TST. We love them. Get it in your phone so you have it. If you get sniped on the side of the road, Off the Record will go to work for you. All right, folks, on this episode of the podcast, we have an update from an engineer about a problem with gauge clusters. I have been driving the extremely fast and extremely expensive Bentley GT Speed Hybrid. Also learned something about what makes a stereo sound British. All of this and more on today's episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast. Let's go! And if you love the show, please give us a rating or a review. It helps us grow. Tested and approved. Kid tested, mother approved.
Uh-huh.
What would be our version of kid tested, mother approved?
The car version?
Yeah.
Ooh. What was the kid tested, mother approved about? It was like a food, right?
That would be
kids
like,
like it, moms think it's good for you.
This is going to sound kind of sexist, but it would be like, race car driver tested, wife approved. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Kid tested. You know what it would be?
Kid tested is like better, something that the primary.
Better tires.
Something, yeah.
Like I bought PS4s. You're like,
yeah.
Kids like
it'll make it safer.
Make it safer.
Make it safer.
Or like a lot of people out there have sold their spouse on brakes or tires, saying it's for safety.
Right. Yeah. What are you, against safety?
No, honey, it makes it a lot safer.
You're pro-death.
Someone in one of our Patreons on the last show asked, what suspension should I put on my Volkswagen?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm justifying it to the wife by saying it's for safety. Which is
There's an argument
BS.
there. If KW, let's say KW put up a slalom and it could do, 4 mile an hour quicker in the slalom, you could go, the moose test, I could do it at a higher speed.
Right.
In my Jetta.
Honey, if the moose jumps out, we don't have to slow down as much, which means we won't be late to something.
Yeah. Mods that you have to justify. I mean, tires for sure, brakes for sure. What else could you do to a car and under the guise of safety? You could argue that loud pipes save lives bullshit.
Man, yeah, but I someone was driving on the freeway this morning at 7 a.m. I was walking the dog, and I heard a gunshot tune from the 90, which is 4 blocks from my house.
Yeah.
And Tucker thought it was a firework and wanted to pull me home. Like, they're just so dumb.
Because of the direction the wind blows and the direction from my house to the 90, every time someone does a 4-gear pull getting onto that bitch, I can hear it.
Yeah.
And it's often.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's you've hung out in my backyard. It's like multiple times an hour that you hear a leader bike or a trio of Hellcats, doing.
I think there's a lot of motorcycle, not racing, but enthusiasts that join the freeway together.
Well, look,
and we hear them.
Not that I'm encouraging this, but like if you wanted somewhere to do a 4-gear pull within the city of Los Angeles, your options are extremely limited.
It's very true.
But a highway that connects two places that didn't need connecting with a highway
It's very true.
is a great place to do that. I mean,
And there's only 2 places the police said. And if you know where they both are, you can plan accordingly.
yes.
It's very true.
And the highway is, how long is the 90? I don't know, 3 miles? Maybe 3 miles. So like you could just go, it's end to end. And so like I'm just pointing out what already exists. I'm not suggesting anyone do anything.
I understand why the sound comes from that direction.
Yeah,
and
the way
I've
it
made
carries.
the sounds there myself.
Yeah, occasionally, once in a while.
Will you aim my camera slightly right?
Oh boy, it's limping. Oh, not limping. It's just hanging.
There we go.
It's also limping, but it was hanging a little to the left as well. Right. Oh well. Welcome to the program. Better late than never. Sunday afternoon.
You were Bentleying with Christian. You were starting to say
Double. Hannah pointed out something that we are very likely the only house anywhere right now that has 2 Bentleys and an Oscar Mayer Wienermobile in their driveway. Even
In
a
the
toy
world.
one.
Right.
In the world.
Probably.
Who else has that?
Yeah.
Totally unique. We have it. And it's very fun.
The Wienermobile is fun in there. And it prepares you slightly for your wife's interest in hot dogs.
For what you're going to...
under-prepares you.
Nothing could prepare you.
You go, oh, they like that.
You know where it comes from? Hannah's Aunt Liz, who you may have met at some point. Aunt Liz rules.
She's the fun one. Yeah,
she's the fun one, right? Their house, she's a collector, not hoarder. She would be a hoarder, but she has made enough money in her career to have daily cleaning ladies, which is the antidote, unfortunately, she has like her whole walls are covered in food-related toys and like dolls. The whole place.
Okay,
huge
story.
place too. It's not like on the floor. It's not untidy. It's very organized, but it is a collection.
The difference, I think, between hoarding and collecting is shells. Right, without shelves,
shelves
it's all on
and
the ground.
dusting.
Shelves and dusting. Yeah,
that's about
true.
it. Yeah, and some type of organization or rationale for the accumulating of stuff.
Well, I think both groups can have that, hoarding or collecting.
Yeah.
Rationale is not in short supply with the hoarders.
Right.
But is it logical? Maybe not.
And maybe, I'm sure there's a lot I don't know about hoarders, but from what I've seen on the show, hoarders, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of thought put into what's being and where it's, you know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of thinking, but not a lot of thought. Yeah. Like
They've
if you
done
ask
a lot
Uncle
of their
Jim,
own research.
Exactly. You ask him why there's so many newspapers, he has a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But they're not thought out.
Right. But anyway, yes, I've been rolling 2 Bentleys this weekend, which is gluttonous and ridiculous. But it's funny about like the stuff that's like the same about them, like the air vents and the plunger things. I don't even think that part is like changed. Like it might be changed because like the resistance to how it moves, like the actual, like at
Which
Bentley,
one is it easier in?
It's smoother, like it has like some kind of beautiful, brand new, lubricated thing in the new one that provides like this amazing amount of the correct resistance to motion.
Okay,
but like the shape and size and look of the parts are like exactly the same. It's like cool that there's a through line like that.
Yeah,
it's the same. They both have this sort of like engine sound that is somewhere between train and ship. Like you can tell there's an engine making power at a baritone level somewhere. You're not sure where it is. Doesn't really matter. but just like so much power comes out of it that you never have to use more than like a third throttle ever. And just goes from somewhere, you know,
the locomotive
somewhere
up there.
distant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you've been on a cruise ship?
No, but I know what you mean.
It's like
There's
that.
a thrum somewhere down in the boat.
Somewhere there is a
forward.
very powerful engine moving this very heavy thing, and I couldn't tell you where it is.
In the train you're taking, the luxury train type thing, are the nice cars toward the back or the front of the train? Do you know?
I think they're in the back.
Is that furthest away from the locomotive, maybe?
Probably. I'm not sure. You know what's funny? The booking lady, because this fucking thing, the train is so Canadian, you can only book it by phone. Like, you get all the way as far as you can go to the website, and then it's like, call our agent. So Canadian. But she asked, do you want to be in the front, the middle, or the back? And I said, of the train or the car? And did we have this conversation already?
No.
I feel like I've had. Maybe it was with Hannah. Okay.
Well,
so she goes, train or car? Or I said train or car. And she goes, car. And I go, well, what's the difference? And she goes, I'm not nothing really. And I go, well, then why'd you even ask? And she goes, well, people that really do this, you know, it's like front of the roller coaster, back of the roller coaster. And I go, yeah, but the front of the roller coaster and the back of the roller coaster, that would be like being in different cars. Like, that is a different experience, actually. Being in the same, how could there be a different experience in the same car? And then she started talking about, like, more people would be walking past your room, which I don't know, maybe is bothersome or something. But
so maybe if there's a bathroom in each car.
There's a bathroom in each room.
Oh, well, okay. Then I don't know. Then I feel like the number.
But like, there is a hallway.
You,
like, people will walk past your room to get to other cars.
Yeah.
Like, that's how fucking trains work.
I wonder if it matters if you're above the axles or in the middle. Like, do you feel a little gugung?
Oh, that's kind of interesting. I haven't thought about that. Train nerds, tell me why it matters.
Yeah.
I'm in
long wheelbase.
I'm in I said I don't know, middle. Can't go wrong with middle, right?
Who knows? The trainers are going to let us know, and they're going to be like, "Oh, you fucked up.
Yeah.
You're in the middle."
Well, if you're going to ride a new roller coaster, middle's a good move.
I like the back. You get the whip.
I like the back as well, but I usually, if given the opportunity, will go middle, back, front in the order of riding, assuming I have the opportunity.
Why do you like middle before the back?
It gives me the intent, the designer's intent.
What?
Like, it's the middle, so it's like, as it's the closest without the whip or without the hang. It's the middle experience. You know what I mean?
You really love mid-engine cars.
Yeah.
You're like, it's their intent. I think their intent is for the thing to make it back to the beginning without
to not
falling
die.
off.
No, but like, you know what I mean? The front, you get the hang.
Right.
Where it hangs over the top.
Yep,
and then the back, you
fun.
get the whip. Also fun. The middle, being in between that, is...
You get a little of a pull, but not... All right.
You get to experience both in equal measure.
There's no wrong answer. Of
course not.
It's totally subjective.
And if I could only do one... If you could only do one... If the line was very long...
Gun your head, which seat would you take?
Front.
Or if you were at the front of the line, which seat would you take? That's the
front. I think the hang is a good time. That's a good...
You like waiting for the...
I like the extra second of hang.
Yeah.
I think that's a good time. Yeah,
You're the beginning of the momentum.
Yeah.
That drags everyone else down.
Yeah. But speaking of trains, this Bentley, it's the hybrid one. We had it for Performance Car of the Year, but it's $406,000. It has $100,000 of options on it. Although, like, one is like the first edition pack, and that's $50,000.
Okay.
I could not tell you what's in that. And honestly, because I have the car for weeks and I just haven't like looked yet. But the other one I drove at Performance Car of the Year also had the first edition pack, so it's not like there's a difference between the two. I don't fucking know. It's $50,000 though. Then that satin orange paint, it's $3,500 because it's orange, and then $22,000 because it's satined. So it's a $25,000 paint job. So $75,000 is of that. Then you have a blackout trim. You have the carbon dash, and there was a couple of other, color painted this blah blah blah. Nothing like ceramic brakes, $18,000 for ceramic brakes, which thank God I have. Yeah.
Man, remember when those were $9,000? Well, I mean, they
On a
still
fucking
are
Porsche, they still are. This is the. Have you seen the size of these? They're the same as the ones on the Urus. They're enormous.
How much is that brake package on the Urus?
Probably that much. It might be standard. I don't think you can get an Urus without ceramic brakes. Yeah, and then there was the best value in Bentley today. I think we've said it before. The floating center caps, $700.
Oh yeah,
that is the best. Yeah. That's the best value in the Bentley option list.
That's a cool trick.
100%.
Yeah,
should get. It's fun to go brrr and spin them once you park.
And it's fun to know. I mean, you don't know they're not spinning when you're driving. But
the car looks so dope in car to car.
No, of course it does. But we don't often see our own car to car. I mean, we do, but other people don't. But you know that it's there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
It's a good treat. What a delightful machine, though.
Yeah.
And
they're amazing.
Huh? Yeah.
They're amazing. The last one we drove, I was so impressed.
Yeah.
So impressed.
And this one, I let both Gibran and Christian drive it. I don't know if I've talked about Gibran before. He's a photographer, and he's a good dude, and he stays with us when he comes to L.A. because he lives in New Orleans. And a lot of times he'll get a little taste of whatever's in the garage, and he drove the Bentley. He'd never driven one. He came back, and he goes, I didn't know cars could be that good. He's like, I've never seen anything like that.
Wow.
And Christian, basically said the same thing. We went up to Malibu today. It was popping off at the old place. Wow. Took like 40 minutes to get coffee.
It was hot today.
It was hot.
It's like it's August weather or September weather.
You know what? We had a fucking rough week all around, but like going up the hill in a good car and like looking down at the ocean, it's like, you know what? We're in the right place here. So
yeah.
God damn, that car it's a real treat though. We'll have to get another one because this one's actually not going to come back with me from Arizona, unfortunately. And
right.
you should
third Bentley. What's crazy about the paint, real quick, is when I'm getting the car wrapped, and it's because painting my car would be too expensive. And I asked our friend at Avis, like, hey, ballpark, what would it cost to paint my car? Like, to paint it well.
Yeah.
And he's like, 15 to 20. And now, obviously, Bentley's making a profit, and they have R&D to do. But they also just get the raw panels. They don't have to take the whole thing apart.
Yeah.
Like, that's part of the cost. A lot of the cost of doing a new paint job on a car is taking off every panel, every trim piece, every little thing, and then painting correctly.
No, this is just to make it satin.
Yeah.
That's
to make it satin,
$22,000 to make it
$22,000.
satin. I mean, in fairness, it probably can't be painted in their standard booth, right? It's probably got to be painted somewhere else. So there's got to be some cost. Either they have a separate booth that's like smaller, that's just for satin. It's probably done by hand, and the QC is probably crazy. There's probably a bunch of fucking reject, and like, I'm sure there is. I'm sure if I ask Bentley, which I'll send them an email. What is the process of satin paint? I think what's interesting about satin paint though is like it's actually held up better. Like if you go look at like an E92 M3 or one of those Mercedes, like
the early ones,
if they were taken like reasonably good care of, the paint has actually been held up pretty good. Like in the beginning, we're like, oh, this is going to look like shit in 5 years.
Well, because the maintenance requirements were very different.
Yeah.
And so if you bought the car and not read or been briefed on how to wash it, you would fuck it up real fast. So that's why we were like, what? You can't just wash it with a sock. But it holds up.
Hannah's friend just bought a Kia with matte paint. And like,
whoa.
Like bought it. It's like the EV9. That's the big 3. You bought it. And then they were like, do you want to do this? And she was like, yeah, that was cool. Okay. Got it with matte paint. And this is just like not a car enthusiast, just like a mom of 2, and not to like, reduce her existence to that. But it's just like Hannah's friend from work. Point being, when they deliver her the EV9, they give her like a basket of like stuff. And she's like, oh, well, what's this? And they're like, this is the stuff you have to use to keep the matte paint nice. And she's like, what do you mean? And they're like, you can't use wax. You can't do this. You can't. And she's like, what? And no one explained this to her before she took this car.
That
she's like,
sucks.
She's like, I don't want that. Like, that's crazy.
Did you return it? Can you do that?
Folks, we got to take one quick break from the action for Delete Me. I signed up for Delete Me They hooked it up. I signed up. I put in all my information. It took me about 15 minutes to probably put in all my information on Delete Me. And man, when I tell you what they found, Delete Me is a money thing to have, particularly right now. We're so online. We're buying stuff online. Our address, our phone number, our credit card information, our birthdays. We need all this stuff to bring the convenience of online shopping and online services into our homes. But you can also be the product, right? These data brokers are buying your personal data and then selling it to other people. And then you end up with robocalls, spam, phishing, even identity theft. It's a big problem, but now you can protect that privacy with Delete Me. I signed up for Delete Me, and it took a few days, actually. I knew it wasn't going to be like a right away thing, but a few days later, they sent me an email and it said, okay, I logged in, and they found like 1,000 instances of my name, address, phone number. I mean, for the good news, it was actually mostly old addresses and old phone numbers that I don't use anymore, but it was still out there, and they got it taken out of those data broker websites. It was like very, very easy, totally straightforward. I told them what to look for on the internet, and they found it, and then they regularly update me with more stuff they find. It's an ongoing solution. And so we've got a discount code for you. Go to joindeleteme.com/tire. Use promo code TIRE for 20% off. That's joindeleteme.com/tire. Use promo code TIRE, 20% off. Get your data off the internet with Delete Me. It is a great thing. Help keep you private and sane. And now back to the show.
Did you return it? Can you do that?
I think
you can't. But
I think she because she like literally hadn't left the dealership at all yet. I think they were like, okay, and they got her into it.
Oh, okay. It wasn't like a custom ordered type thing.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was
like
she bought it off
the discussion that needs to be had up front. I mean,
wait, what? Nuts, right?
Was it an option? Like, was it more expensive, and the dealership was trying to scoop that in?
I didn't get the details of it. I think it was like she just saw it there and was like, "What about that one?" Or they said, "Hey, you could whatever."
Right.
I don't know, but that's the bottom line is she was not educated.
Right. It requires special care. Still, even 20 years after Ken Block did the matte black, like it still requires special care.
Yeah, but in the beginning, I was like, I wouldn't get like an exotic car or anything in a matte paint, but like now I would.
It looks cool. I think it does a good job of showing off curves and things, and because it dampens like reflection.
Yeah.
Sometimes bright sun will almost wash out the curve or shape of a car, and it actually works for it.
But the thing about this Bentley, we were talking about this a lot this morning. It's $400,000, which is an insane amount of money. I mean, and it's a little different from something like a GT3 or GT3 RS, where there's not a lot of people for who this is like their dream car, and they're going to save up for this. And it's not, even something so expensive, like they're not great investments. They depreciate, whatever. Okay. So the person who's spending $400,000 on this, like, has to be rich enough where this is just their car.
Yeah, this is not a car that goes in the collection. It's you drive it to the collection.
Yeah. Which is a crazy, like, weird thing to think about, because it's like, I was like, Gibran was like, because he was out with us when we did the 911 ST versus GT3, and I let him get a little taste of the ST. And so he was like, if I could get one of those, I would find a way to like move money around and save up and do this and do that, and it would be like my special thing. He's like, but I couldn't do that with this. This would just be like my car, which means I have to be comfortable with like losing like $250,000 in depreciation in 3 years on my daily.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. He's like, on the other hand, what do 2019s go for?
A lot less than the new ones.
A lot less.
Yeah, very true. I mean, if you had one of the ones we drove a few years ago, ooh, that's a lot of car.
Tons.
Yeah.
Tons. But the maintenance costs are very expensive, once they get out of warranty and stuff. But fuck me, do they drive good. Pick a thing. Pick anything, and it's in like the top 20% of all cars on the road in any of those things.
That's what's incredible
is
we've run out of compromise. I mean, like money and technology finally caught up and delivers everything you want. Because remember the fast Bentleys of the 90s and early 2000s?
Remember.
Like,
do I remember the Bentleys of the 90s? Yes.
Yeah, like, of course. Very good point, yeah. But like lots of lean, one-legger, like burnout, all that stuff.
Luxury first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
luxury
now it's
first.
Everything.
Now you can have both. And a bunch of people commented on my Instagram like, bet the old one rides better. Like, no, it doesn't. Mm-hmm. No. The old one rides great, but it doesn't have the kind of fucking go get him, Copper. It doesn't have the body control of this, which is just extraordinary.
And the wheel control, like the old Bentley might be soft, but the control of the wheel speed these days is incredible.
Yeah, I mean you can flick a knob, and it has significantly better ride quality than my car, and you can flick a knob the other way, and you can drift it on a racetrack and laugh your ass off, or tear up a mountain or something. And it's just kind of like does everything so well. It's crazy. Very nice.
They're incredible. What a good road trip car. Perfect.
And I don't, it's the same powertrain functionally as that Cayenne we just had. More or less. It's that same setup. But the rest of the car is so special that I don't feel like the same way I feel about the Cayenne, where it's like skip the turbo and just get the V6 because you're in electric all the time. I think the experience of driving this in both modes is just more special all around.
Well, were you more encouraged to drive this fast than the Cayenne? I think that the thing with the Cayenne for me is I felt like I was in a fancy dentist's office or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just I was not encouraged to try to go fast.
Right. It's an SUV. Who gives a shit? Like in this, going fast is actually a good time. Mm-hmm. So, which is amazing because the early Continentals going fast was like not that fun. Now, like this thing's a riot, and the fucking massage seats.
How many miles are you doing it? Like 1,200?
Probably. They gave it to me with 740 miles on it.
You're the break-in.
I'm going straight to Arizona and doing a track day.
If the break-in's 1,000 miles, then you'll hit 1,000 when you get there. Wow.
We'll hit it. Yeah.
And then it's ready. That's cool.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
And speaking of miles, I hit 20K on the way back from Good Vibes in the NSX. Got to 20,000 miles.
Sweet.
So I put 2,600 miles on it in a year and a half. So I think I'm doing my part. I think I'm doing my part to not be a bitch about the miles.
Well, yeah.
That's about as many miles as I could put on anything.
I was going to say, because you drive so many other things that get in the way.
Yeah.
Then, that's a pretty good chunk.
Miles.
Yeah.
It was so nice. It was better on Angeles Crest than I thought it would be.
Had you not driven it since the new suspension?
No, I hadn't driven it
ACH,
since, in a while. And it was really, really, really nice.
They're such good cars.
And all these other NSXs came out. I put a picture up on Instagram. This white one. Now, they had nothing to do with me. Just like they happened to be there. Go to the couple. This white one, and this white one was ridiculous. That one, which I think it was a 2000, but it has a twin turbo kit on it, which was really cool with air to water intercooler, which is excellent. The wheels are really nice, and then click one over to the interior. I was in love with the interior, and
Oxblood seats, fixed back.
So these are Recaro pole position, some letter combination. They're the wider ones. I sat in them. I was like game changer, but apparently they're so expensive. I cannot bring myself to buy them.
Really? Because your seats,
they're stock. They're the stock seats.
No, they're
whatever.
Stock, but like. Even me, who's shorter than you, I sit so high in the NSX. It's one of my only complaints.
This is so much lower. I have an inch of head clearance above my head with these seats.
So how long before you order these seats? Christmas time, just after? I'm just nudging.
We need to not be spending money on cars right now, but it is definitely something to consider. As was the Zanardi short shift kit was excellent feeling. This was a really good car. If I was in the tuning mood with the NSX, I would basically repeat.
Now, would you like having a fixed back seat like this versus the one? Yours are adjustable. Do you ever adjust them?
No.
So these would work for you.
Yeah, I love these seats. These are very, very comfortable. They're the same seats I had in the Mustang, just covered in really nice leather.
Oh, okay. You had these before.
Yeah. And I put that Cholo fabric on them. It was fun. But I don't think in the NSX, can you do a Cholo fabric on that? I don't think you can.
I think anyone can do whatever they want.
Yeah, I know, but like, what? You'd have to do some sort of a style thing.
I mean, you could do some sort of JDM or something from Japan, like you do something
I could,
more
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
I had a thought this morning. What if you got a Coogee sweater, like the one I have from my Biggie costume, which is the actual the actual Coogee
one,
sweater, the same one Biggie wore in the photo. What if I cut that and made a Coogee seat centers?
Sure.
I think it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, I think it make for the Bentley, or for this.
No, for something like this.
I think it
for
makes more
bucket
sense in the
seats.
Bentley because it's Biggie.
Oh, in the Bentley?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to cut up the interior of the Bentley.
Oh, okay.
That's not putting Coogee inserts in Bentley
Yeah.
would be so boss, but it would tank the resale value.
Oh, that's true.
Further than it already is. Although,
yeah.
like, I love what Chris did with that M5 though. The corduroy, God, is that good? Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, but I was thinking. I'm thinking just for silliness. If I was to get a pair of bucket
I
seats,
think you could do whatever because if you like the Coogee thing and you've had those sweaters, and if you don't wear it, then you just cut it up. Sure.
Would be
why not?
It'd be a funny seat inserts. I've never seen Coogee seat inserts before.
I didn't know
now
what
that I say
Coogee
this,
was until knowing you.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's an Australian brand.
Okay.
Yeah, even though it's mostly associated with like rappers and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And they have it's got like stuff all over it. It's very
Yeah,
textured.
they're like hand woven with like crazy colors and stuff. They're fun as
It'd be
fuck.
interesting to see how that would wear out. Like, 'cause it would,
yeah.
I mean, you don't drive it that
You wouldn't
much.
put it in the daily.
Right, because then it would just grab these different pieces of yarn and pull it apart like a cat.
Would not be
Yeah.
good. No.
I started
a car
looking
you drive
at,
occasionally. Yeah.
I'm going to do, finally going to do the interior ABC pillars. And I was like, ooh, I can do like a fun fabric. So I looked up tartans.
Yeah.
And I was not prepared for the number of different types of patterns there are that come from a single tartan company in Scotland.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to try and get some swatches to match the wrap thing. And it's going to be very cool, like on B pillar or something.
Get ready for Andy from Spirit of Le Mans to dive bomb in right now.
All right.
He's a listener, and he sells tartan in Scotland. And he will send you. He's asking me all the time, do I want some tartan? And I very rarely have anything to do with more tartan, so I politely turn him down. But he will send you all the goddamn
I'll take some
tartan.
swatches.
He'll send you a fucking huge roll of that shit.
There are like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different kinds.
And
It's
tartan
crazy.
shopping in Scotland is mad fun.
I'm
it's
sure.
Like, it's like
But
their
it's
thing.
overwhelming.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, have you ever gone to the fabric district in LA to buy a fabric?
Extremely too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Narrow it down to 3. I'll choose. Yeah.
So I'm going to shop for those.
Even when we did the Manx interior, they had like 4 or 5 out, and one of the ones that we chose was one that was out. And then they like opened this drawer, and there's like 500 more, and I'm like, close that.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know that's there.
Yeah, buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Let's just, they mocked up one of the interiors with the bus fabric, the leftover bus fabric from the Safari. It looked incredible on the seat, but you'd have to get a different exterior color, and we didn't want to. We'd have to get like a purple, like a Bachmann purple.
Because what's the exterior color you're doing?
Sapphire blue.
Yeah, lighter.
Stratosphere blue. Excuse me, stratosphere blue. It's like sky blue with bass boat flake in it.
Yeah.
It's fucking sick.
Yeah, the bus fabric wouldn't work.
Yeah. Dude, you know who hit me up is our pal David Twigg, writer for the Intercooler, product manager for cars,
Alpine,
Nissan,
Renault, Nissan,
and Renault. And he heard me talking about the gauges. We were talking about the Cayenne Turbo, and I was annoyed that the top half of the gauge cluster got blocked. And so, because I didn't bring my glasses in here, David sends an email. And he wrote a whole shtick on the topic of engineering standard morphologies for those crazy cats at the intercooler. So he does have a story called Heroes and Dummies on the intercooler. But also, TLDR, I'm going to undercut the link sharing, David, sorry, because car makers designed for 2 extremes, the AM95 and the JF5. Do you want to know what those stand for?
Yes.
AM95 is American male 95th percentile.
Okay.
And JF5 is Japanese female 5th percentile. So big dudes, tiny women. An AM95, which is a specific like crash test dummy, basically a fit model that's a dummy, is 6'2" and weighs 246 pounds, which I exceed. But like it's pretty close. So I'm probably the 95th and a half percentile or something like that. Okay, the other one, the JF5, is a 4'10" and 95 pounds. So I'm at the high end, and if I have the longer torso and sit a bit more upright than most dudes because of his fucked back, probably right on the design limits. But of course, instrumentation designers, my very first job in the industry, should try their best to keep the essential information, speed, warning lights, etc., in the, quote, A zone that can be seen by people that both extremes and not just the gray zone where you half see it out of one eye. So Porsche's UX team did drop the ball somewhat if Matt, who's tall but not a basketball player, can't see essential information clearly when sitting comfortably. In fairness to Porsche, there is another gauge. There's 4 or 5 different layouts you can use, and one of which did put that information in the appropriate place. So it's not like they didn't give me some kind of way out.
That's a big advantage with LCDs now because we've been in plenty of analog cars where you can't see the top of a gauge.
Yes. And so anyway, and he says, P.S., the story of those standard mannequins is absolutely fascinating, which he describes on the intercooler piece. It goes right back to Civil War days when people invented small, medium, and large sizes for the Union soldiers' uniforms. This was the first ever attempt to map or catalog the human body's shape, and such studies continue to the present day. Thank you, David.
Cool.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's great.
AM95. I wonder what other countries they have. They've got A for America and J for Japan. Maybe they have E for Europe.
Well, it's a good question because like the Dutch people on average are 6 feet tall or something. They're much taller. Germany very tall. I wonder what the range is in Europe. Because it's
maybe they only
area
need the
in
extremes.
to the world.
America is the biggest country. Japan is the
on average
smallest, I suppose. Japan and China may be the same, but give or take. But
well, America's the biggest market, right? So they probably go.
I mean, the biggest people. America has the biggest people.
Not by
I think by volume.
By volume, yes. By volume, I agree. So I'm wondering if because volume doesn't matter as much for like your eye line to the gauge, right?
True. Yeah.
But America, the United States, is a much bigger market for cars than Netherlands.
Right.
So they go, all right, well, if there's 400 million people in North America and their average height is and then
maybe there's like
but they want to be able to Japanese people
Scandinavia.
to buy too, yeah.
I think you only really need the extremes though, and then one.
You do.
One in the just like riding a roller coaster.
Right, and someone in the middle.
Someone in the middle.
The gray zone.
There you go.
The A zone. That's cool.
And the other funny thing that I wrote down about the Bentley GT, Christian and I, it's got the name stereo in it. I think I don't know if it's name or Nime, but Naim. Great stereos. But Christian said it sounds British. And I was like, what does that mean? And it has a really like punch through mid-range by default is like programmed for a British listening audience. Because Christian like knows everything about music and radio. So he was like, he showed me that was a thing. And there's a lot of settings in there. And we dialed it in for my road trip.
Oh, he changed it.
He changed it. Mm-hmm. And also he was like he demonstrated some of the difference between the sound quality and from different sources, like from Sirius versus from my phone streaming versus from his Tidal or whatever the fuck he had, some high end thing.
Yeah, because is it the bit rate? Like the quality of the sound is all over the place or the compression. So sometimes the sound sounds thinner or worse.
The satellite was really bad. I love satellite radio because it's just consistency wherever in the country I am with the stations. So I like that it exists, and I don't have the fucking ear to really tell. But when he did the same song exactly back to back on I was like, oh yeah, that's a lot.
Was satellite worse than Spotify than CDs?
Spotify was better than satellite radio. Yeah. We didn't have a CD, and I'm not even sure it has a CD player.
Oh, it probably doesn't. Yeah.
But Apple Music was great, and I couldn't really tell the difference beyond that. But there was a huge difference between music coming from my phone and music coming from satellite. Huge difference, in like richness.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have a lot of questions from the last show. Unless you have any topics you'd like to cover?
No, I don't. It's been the weekend. I went to the FCP Euro meet. And
was that good?
Fun. Yeah, it was really it was their first event on the West Coast, and it was really well ran. I've never parked so quickly at a morning car show.
They're going to say so hard. I've never parked so hard.
No. I pull in and they go, display or spectator? And I was like, look at me. And then I walked around and I realized I could have said display, which was cool. Like they weren't they weren't classist. There was like builds of all kinds, which was really fun. But pull in, park. That's really
a cool
good
looking
coffee.
190.
They have this crazy 190 build that they made.
We don't plug your Instagram enough. The real Zach Clapman.
I need to post on it more, but I did post a bunch of stuff from this. So this was FCP Euro's car. I mean, this is a full
That's like
race
a
car,
190 race car.
Yeah,
like that's fucking sick.
Yeah,
I'd love to have it go in that.
Really nice.
Yeah, that's rad.
I think Vin Tra has driven this at Buttonwillow.
Really?
Yeah, it used to rip around there. This was interesting.
Is that an Eldorado with a chopped roof?
Correct. I mean, and the guy had pictures of the build process.
Wow, it's kind of insane looking, isn't it?
It is very.
Is it also a shortened
Batman.
wheelbase? The wheelbase, holy fucking burble tune
right?
coming up the
Cops
road.
are chasing him. Good.
You think that is? That would be amazing.
I don't think he would have let off the throttle if he was being chased by the police.
That is a serious burble
That
tune.
sounds so bad.
So all right. So we're looking at a Cadillac, presumably some kind of Eldorado. It's a coupe, and it looks like the wheelbase has been. Oh no! Some R beaten on your commenter says, "Is that a C3 Corvette with a Cadillac body?" I think it is. I think that's the windshield and roof of a C3 Corvette.
Ooh, it does look like that.
And the wheelbase of a Corvette, very good. That's fucking awesome.
Man, but then, and that's why the front overhang, which obviously is giant on a Cadillac of this age anyway, is so huge.
Yeah. That's
it's
pretty
a wild
funny.
Thing. It's a wild thing.
I like that move. That's excellent.
He represented the traditional hot rodder that showed up. He was the one. He had white hair, an umbrella, the easel. But
that's pretty crazy.
510. This was cool. This was a bare metal at 2002 that they literally painted with a paintbrush, and it looked rad.
That's kind of cool.
So there's all kinds of stuff like really fast modern European stuff, Mini Cooper Club. I mean, just a whole bunch of stuff, old Volkswagens. But yeah, it was a good, mellow event.
I've been asked more about old Volkswagens in the last couple of weeks. Everybody wants a 1990 GTI.
I do.
Yeah.
I saw one, a Mark III. I've always liked them with a VR6. And one left, and our friend Armin was like, dude, those things are only like $6,000 right now. I was like, wow, that's a good car.
Dude, Hannah keeps finding the worst cars on Facebook Marketplace and being like, maybe we should buy this. And
find worst.
Just like, just some like last night she wanted like an Excalibur. She's like, why wouldn't we buy this for $6,000? I go, I could think of a lot of reasons why we won't buy that.
It's like not a meme. You drive it twice, and you cosplay Cruella de Vil. Yeah, and then you go, well, where do I park this thing?
Yeah, it drives like shit. I mean, best case scenario, that drives like an '87 town car. Mm-hmm. Best case, I don't need that.
No. Just get a town car.
There is some YouTuber that got like modern versions of Excaliburs. I forget what the kit is called. It's based on a Mustang. Like they used to base them on town cars, and then I think they did them on Cougars or something like that, and then they stopped. They started doing it on Mustangs, and I can't remember the guys who did it. That's it. My Zimmer Mustang, Rolls Stang. That's what it was on. Yeah, it looks so shanty with you can just see the Mustang
in there. Good.
Terrible. But like that,
wow.
That at least like might drive like okay, kind of okay, probably bad.
No, because look, so for people listening, like the back half of the car, the back 3/4 of the car just look like a Mustang with weird fender flares. Uh-huh. But then the front the wheelbase has been stretched 3 feet.
Yeah, the front has like an entire 1930s schnoz on it.
Yeah, and
like
the
a
Mustang
Packard
wheel would be here if you look at like the A line. So now it's way out here.
Yeah, they just stretch the front frame by however
very
long.
Stable at speed.
It's probably awful to drive, but it's better than a. Jesus, the guy is going back and forth with the burble tune outside.
He's saying what's up.
If the cops go by again, then we'll really know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This thing is wild looking.
But so I don't want one of these. But Hannah was like, why can't
Why can't we?
No, definitely
You're
not.
like, go outside.
She's found some trash, but we might have bought a piece of art off Facebook Marketplace that is insane.
Is it a flat piece of art or one you have to place in a room?
You would hang it on a wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because when you said insane, I was like, you guys buy a sculpture
No.
that, really
we bought an
completes the
8-foot
room.
hot dog. No.
Yeah.
No, it's like...
Yeah, you'd never do that.
Yeah, if it's out there.
Yeah.
She almost bought another one of those Wienermobiles that was like in better condition, had like better paint. And
I think they need clear coat. That's why the paint faded on that thing in like...
It's not... It wasn't paint. It's
year.
just raw plastic. Like, what would you do?
You go to Home Depot. You get some Krylon.
Does clear coating raw plastic like help?
Well, wait.
It's not
but
paint.
the hot dog is hot dog colored to begin with, right? And then it faded.
Yeah, but it's hot dog like it's colored plastic. It's not like it wasn't a painted thing.
I think you could clear if there's. You'd have to paint over it, then clear coat it.
Yeah, that's different.
Let's mask it off. Come on.
We can get
Give her a project.
We can get anyone in LA got a body shop want to do a fucking Wienermobile.
No, go to Home Depot. You go Rust-Oleum, Krylon, and they have painted sticks of plastic.
Yeah.
2 coats. You get the clear coat that you need a mask for, and it's like almost illegal.
Yeah.
There you go.
Speaking of which, fortune favors the JDM van owners this week because the part that Hannah got hit in the van got the part. Shout out to them. Coombs Country Autos in Vancouver. It's where you buy Delica shit. $45.
No, thank God.
$45 US.
Nice.
Yeah. Shipped. That's fucking what's up. So we'll get that set up nicey nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
It might not even need paint. Like I think the part that's
it just
coming,
ships
it
in
is
that color.
Well, it's a used one, but it's like it's the same color. So we'll see if it works.
It was a small ding, thank God.
Yeah.
Very
It's small, but like that other chick's insurance is paying for it. So let's fucking go.
$45.
Fucking that looked like a big hit to me.
It did at the time. You're like, we got to go through insurance, but now you realize you could have Venmo'd.
She wanted to go through insurance.
Yeah.
It was because her car was fucked. The Delica was champ.
Really?
Oh yeah, Delica quote won.
Because it doesn't crumple as much.
Because you can win in a car accident.
Of course.
According to Mr. Musk, of course, you can win in a car accident.
I think unless you're in an actual game of chicken, there's no like even if you don't die and someone dies, you don't win. You just got lucky and you don't die.
Yeah.
But you're not, you didn't win.
But there are people that position that as winning,
I know.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like sociopathic,
I
actually.
think it just grabs attention, and people
Yeah.
go, "Cool."
But if you spend like 3 seconds thinking about it, you go, "That's sociopathic."
It's like when people they show like I could drive my Jeep up on a different car, and you're like, right, but you're not going to do that because it's going to damage the car. It might tip over.
Yeah, if you do, it's like 3 to 5 probably.
There was a video a couple weeks ago of a guy getting pinned in by the police, and he had a lifted Jeep, and he tried to drive over a cop car.
Really?
And he almost did it, and then he kind
Really?
of high-centered on a roof. It was,
All right.
yeah.
Well, look, if you're driving over a cop car, go for it. Have at it, bro. Joy, give us the video.
Then you're in trouble.
Then we're good.
Then you're really in trouble.
Yeah. Lots of questions this week from the Patreon. Of course, if you want to get in the game, we had a big spike this month in the Patreon. I think my appeals to pity have worked.
Yeah.
Get in the game. It helps keep the show fiscally solvent with the Patreon. You know what? I got a
TST coin.
I got a really sad email actually from our advertising people that said was basically to the effect of a few very big shows have hoovered up like all the advertising budget, and indies are across the board struggling right now. And you could pretty much guess who those shows are, but like they're just like taking it all. Mm-hmm. So, all right, I guess that's how that works. So, if you, but anyway, Patreon is where it's at. It's how you ask us questions. It's how you catch us live. It's how you get an extra show every month. It's how you get a totally ad-free listening experience, which is beautifully, seamlessly integrated into the same way you would get your podcasts anyway, on video and on audio. So, let's get to some of those questions. Are these These first ones are left over from the last show?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, we had so many the last show.
So many.
Oh, my God. We have 10 pages? This document is 10 pages long?
Well, we didn't start at page 1. We started at page 5.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Wow.
Right? Yeah.
Go patrons. Get in the game. Guitar Player 1999. I have a lovely 2022 F8. That's a Ferrari. I also have an allocation for a 296 GTS next year in which I would trade the F8. I love my car, but is the 296 more lovable? F8 is the last non-hybrid. 296 is the new one with the V6 hybrid. If you're just cruising on the street, I would keep the F8. It sounds better. The 296's infotainment is even more infuriating than the F8's somehow.
That's true. The 296, I mean, if you drive hard, then it is superior.
Yeah.
The transmission's better, the power's better, the steering's really good, all those things. But if you're not driving like that, then it becomes a much more, I mean, cars are subjective. Like, I guess I would go back to him, like, what turns you on about the F8? Why'd you buy it in the first place? Was it just because it's a Ferrari? Or do you love the sound? Do you love the look of it? Because if it's things like that, then going to the 296, you lose the sound. You just have a V6. And it's a good-looking car for sure. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and it sounds good for what it is, but it's not the same.
Yeah, and it's annoying to use the controls. So a lot of those, two big pillars of car ownership,
for
I feel
10
like
minutes, the battery dies.
Also,
it's got that annoying hybrid shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the F8's rad.
Yeah. I'd probably hang on to the F8, honestly. Eric says, considering a V6 manual Emira, C8 Z06 prices have started to come into the same price territory for a used one. I've driven the Emira and previously owned a Stingray, but sold the Stingray because it didn't feel exciting. I don't go to the track, canyons only, not a daily driver. Which would you choose? I would probably... The big question is, of course, do you want to drive stick or do you want to drive auto? It's a different experience. Which do you want to have? And the manual in the Emira is pretty good. It's a nice car to drive.
Only canyons, never, and only on weekends?
I think the Emira is a really nice street car.
Yeah. And
the Z06, if you get the touring one like we got, the one without the Z07, like good interior, like you get the right car that's set up for road driving, that's also an amazing car.
It is not better. I mean, they're both really good overall cars. They're both sporty. They're both comfortable. They ride nice. They both, looks, that's up to you. So I don't think you can go wrong. It really is like, do you like manual or do you like paddles?
Yeah.
It's kind of...
I mean, if you had a C8 Stingray, but it wasn't exciting, the C06 is a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
A lot more.
I think the Emira looks more exotic. I mean, it looks more expensive than it is. It's more unique. Obviously, there's Corvettes everywhere. If that is an aspect of cars you like.
Yeah, and you've already had a Corvette, so you know what a Corvette is like, even if it's not a Z06. I like driving manual, and you won't be able to buy cars like that forever.
Yeah.
Probably. So I would probably get the Emira.
It's hard. If you don't go to the track, you miss a lot of what the Z06 gives you, but it also does give you great canyon performance, and it feels like it's a cheap Ferrari.
Yeah, so, and you can take the roof off.
Yeah.
It's also a convertible.
You're kind of getting what F8 guy was after with an NA motor that sounds like that. So that's hard. Yeah, just figure out the sound and the shifting U value.
Yeah. Armin is looking for a budget off-roader that's also small. Should I be looking at K-trucks, vans, or other small vehicles like the Pajero? Well, I don't think K-trucks and vans are like that good at going off-road. Like they're pretty small. Like the Delica maybe, but that's not a K van. That's bigger.
Yeah, definitely.
Pajeros are good.
Yeah, they're really good off-road.
And I mean budget. I mean fucking. Our homie Joel in Panama fucks with the Samurai.
Samurais are very popular off-road machines.
Yeah.
They're really good because they're not – I think they're slightly bigger than K cars, and a lot of that is width, so you have more stability.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still narrower than, I think, a Wrangler, but you can get wider axles. Like you can push it out a bit.
You can build those things
agile thing. Yeah.
Super sick. I mean, and honestly, a two-door Wrangler is a pretty small Like
True.
budget, if you're talking about a cheap two-door Wrangler from 15 or 20 years ago, that's a pretty small vehicle as well. I mean, it's not as interesting as one of the weird Japanese toys, but like if that's what you want, like
True.
a lot of support for it and whatever. I've never gone off-roading in a real, other than the Samurai, like in a lot of stuff, but Mitsubishi was doing a lot of cool off-road shit in the early 90s.
The Pajero is really legit, and it's a complete thing, and it's a little more comfortable than a Samurai is tiny. I mean, if you went off-road camping in a Samurai, you have that back little bench.
Yeah,
that's kind of it.
Yeah.
So I would want something slightly bigger, like a Pajero, where I could bring a cooler and all my camping gear.
Yeah, I mean, you just want something with like a real, with ideally solid axles and a real transfer case.
Yeah.
So there's a few options out there. Ryan owns a Revology. Oh, that's from last week. Okay. Can you think of otherwise car models that could be cool to give new life by making them easy and enjoyable to own? I mean, there's so many, but the real difference is like cars that like were cool looking or like fast, but actually like built kind of shitty, right? So
Yeah,
you want to like unshitbox something.
Because the Mustang was a sporty car, a muscle car. It was a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And its manufacturing is part of what compromised it for those tasks. Whereas like a 55 Thunderbird, well, very similar, but like to me that's a GT cruiser car. It's more of a, or he said Lincoln Continental.
Yeah.
I don't need a Lincoln Continental to go around turns really well. I want it to just go straight and kind of sound good and cruise.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need the remanufacture.
I would go Screaming Chicken Trans Am.
That does deserve performance because some of them suck.
Yeah. They drive like shit, but they look great.
Yeah.
And like if you could unshitbox that and
C3 Corvette.
Yeah,
I
that
think
too.
C3 Corvette.
That too. Yeah.
That styling deserved more go.
It did deserve better than it got. Yeah, especially the early cars, the 69 to 71, those are the fucking jam. Yeah. I think there's a lot of room in American cars to unshitbox stuff from the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
You pretty much just pick your fucking poison.
We got a lot of leftovers you could reconstitute.
55 T-Bird. I was up at Good Vibes talking to Lynn Woodward and Aaron Robinson, who won a fucking trophy.
No, I saw them last night at a cocktail party.
Yeah, they won an entry into
Miglia.
Yeah, which was crazy.
And Aaron's like, "We're so happy to win, but it's gonna be so expensive to go."
And they were trying to talk about like what like affordable cars are actually eligible for the Miglia, and he said like he had a guy who had a fully race prepped 55 T-Bird. I was like, that sounds fucking sick, dude. Going to Italy in a 55 T-Bird race car and ripping it, that sounds awesome.
That is really
Do that.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of – someone wrote an article. I think it was Colin Comer maybe wrote an article that was like, 10 cheapest cars that you can buy that are like eligible for, I think it was the Colorado Grand, but it was like basically like it's about like finding little hacks or weird hacks. I'm sorry I said that word about this, but like ways in that are not crazy expensive. Like there was like some kind of Fiat that raced at Le Mans, in the 70s that was available for like $35,000,
Yeah, so T-Bird competed in the Miglia. One of them ran back in the day.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, because the cars that get all the press from those events are the $2 million this or that, or Ferrari or Mercedes.
But you can do them in something pretty reasonable.
Yeah, dude, a T-Bird would be sweet.
Yeah, it's anything 57 or earlier.
Oh yeah, if it was fast and
you
had
could
a
do a C1 Corvette. You do a 56 or 57 Corvette. Like that's a V8. Like that's a proper car.
Oh, no
a T-Bird. You could get a factory, I don't know if it's factory or dealer installed, but you can get a supercharger on a 57 Thunderbird. Thing would rip.
I would just build the cheater motor, just NA.
Full 14-to-1 compression.
Yep.
SG90, I don't have answers to your long-term reliability questions for used Macans and Cayennes. I'm very sorry. Don't have it. Third pedal connoisseur. Oh, wait.
Var the Var.
Oh, I think we've answered. Var the Var. Sorry. Outside of Porsches, can you think of a pre-smog car that you would be willing to daily drive or at least use as a real car in some capacity, if not literally driving it every day? I would be willing to use an early 70s Mercedes-Benz sedan that was like perfect condition mechanically every day. That would be okay. Totally doable.
Now, does every day mean it has to work every day indefinitely? Like, I could totally drive around in an old Mustang that was mechanically competent, and then like 8 months later it might have an issue, and I could be fine with that. I could do that 3 days a week for a year. That would be really fun.
I mean, I've essentially been doing it with the Bentley. It's not pre-smog, but like my experience isn't that much different than if it was.
It's true.
I mean,
there's so many carbureted things that would be good. Like the Datsun 510 would be kind of nice. Austin, that's too small.
Porsches, like you could easily daily an early 70s Porsche. Easily.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you could easily daily an early 70s Mercedes.
I believe, yeah. I think that would be the most comfortable.
Yeah. Like a 280 SE, that would be fucking a delight. That would be so nice.
Someone at the show had a 55 Mercedes 220.
Oh yeah,
that was very cool looking.
Yeah,
yeah.
You could daily. I mean, this is a little hoity-toity, but you could daily a Gullwing.
There was one of those too, and that'd be obviously.
I have driven. There's nothing about a Gullwing, particularly if it's a convertible, that says you could not drive it every day. It's so easy to drive those cars. They're like modern cars. Beetles.
I don't know if I could do that. It's so slow. I drive on the highway every day, or every other day. I'm not doing that.
But pre-smog, you can make it fast.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can. You can make it fast.
Built engine.
You can make it's pre-smog. Pre-smog. You could make it fast enough to cruise comfortably at 80. Easily.
How long does it take to get to 80?
Not if you made the engine fast and powerful enough.
It's like real hot rod. Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't need that much power. Like shitty Beetles are like 70 horsepower. Yeah. You could very easily put a 150 horsepower engine in that.
And they
car.
weigh nothing.
Yeah.
So it's a 10 to 1 horsepower.
They're like 1,700 pounds.
Oh, okay.
You could rip it. I think we talked about that. 2001 Subaru Forester. What's a good starter motorcycle for a heavier guy? No crotch rockets.
Well, the GS, right? I mean, any of the overland bikes, not necessarily only BMW, but they're comfortable, they're upright, they have windshields, they have enough suspension for a larger person.
Yeah.
They're not super fast, but you'll definitely get on the highway without getting hit by a car.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
A good one that I've ridden around a bunch that's very forgiving is my friend's Triumph Tiger 900, which is very flexible for all different types of riding, and it's really comfortable to ride for a couple hours. So I really like those. But it's a good piece of advice. And a lot of those off-road or those adventure bikes, you get them on knobby tires or you get them on street tires. Just get them on street tires, and then you're fine.
Can I tell you a funny motorcycle story real quick?
Yes.
So, I bought the MZ Bagheera to, escape the city if there's a calamity. Sarah had never seen it, and I brought her here the other day when we returned the Revology car. And I go, oh, this is the motorcycle. And she's like, oh, cool. And I go to start it, and it doesn't start, but it does just dump gasoline on the ground, which I cleaned up.
Thanks.
And I talked to Adam. I was like, hey, this happened. What's the protocol here? And it was fine. And I text Alex. I find out what's wrong with it. But it was just so funny. I was like, honey, here's the motorcycle I bought in case of emergency. And not only does it not start, it almost catches itself on fire. It's a really good purchase.
You got to ride it.
We'll take the RAV4.
That's how you keep it running.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, if the shit hits the fan, we're getting out of here. And
RAV4.
Yeah.
To the place we know.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it on air anymore.
Right. Oh, God. Billy Jimmy Zox trying to revitalize their car YouTube channel started in 2008. Besides uploading a lot of content, how would you go about it if you had to start again? I probably wouldn't revitalize a channel. I think once the channel goes up and then down again, I don't think there's anything bringing it back.
Yeah, it might be smarter to just start a new, even if the content's the same. It honestly might be better to just start a new channel because, as we've talked about, YouTube rewards a new channel.
Yeah. I would definitely start a new channel, and I would definitely be mad, shitty, and controversial and make all the money.
There's so many.
I would join the manosphere.
Let's see. Like I'm checking out his channel real quick. I mean, you got to just do something that hooks people because it looks like it's a lot of just cool car driving on the road. No offense, like that was a big thing 15 years ago. What was his name? Saab Kyle.
Yeah.
Like, all right, that used to work, but I think now you can do shorts and other things. But I would launch a new channel.
So David Whitcroft wants to know I'm on my phone to answer his question. Wants to know the name of the lemon law lawyer that I mentioned at the Rivian thing, and it is the law offices of Robert. What's his last name? Robert Starr, Starr, and that's a recommendation through Zuckerman. Robert L. Starr in Calabasas.
I think did we answer this one last time?
Let's see.
It seems familiar.
No, we didn't go to this. Could all-wheel drive biased? Could manufacturers resto mod or sell new engines, transmissions, and other components for pre-existing vehicles? Could that be a good way to keep the same cars on the road, reducing the manufacturing and environmental cost, yet allow internal combustion engines to still be sold? Could upcycling be the environmentally feasible option for enthusiast brands? Well, most manufacturers will sell you a new engine, transmission, or component for vehicles already on the road.
True.
I mean,
on the performance side, GM Performance already does this. Ford Performance does this. You can get
Nissan will do it with RBs.
Right. You can get a variety of stock or improved engines to go into a number of different cars.
Yeah. Can you buy like all Honda 4-cylinder engines?
I don't know, probably.
But so I think you can do that. And I think that is a good way to keep cars on the road. Mm-hmm. But I don't think any manufacturer is going to actively pursue a strategy that doesn't result in them building and selling more cars.
Yeah.
If they are supporting enthusiast cars, it's because the enthusiasts have demanded it. But I don't think there's any real motivation for an OEM to actively try to not make more cars. I mean,
right, because they're actively underselling themselves.
Yeah. Toblerone Malone, what is the advantage of center lock nuts versus typical lock nuts? I mean, it's other than looking cool and being a thing that comes from racing, because if you're doing a pit stop, one lug nut as opposed to like old NASCAR, it's just faster. But it may reduce like a little bit of mass somehow. It might just be a lighter mechanism,
Maybe.
but like I think it's got race car shit on it.
Yeah, because it's complicated.
Yeah.
Porsche just had to recall some of their center lock wheels, which is a bummer. I'm not trying to disparage like center lock in general, but something I forget who I was talking to. Like Vin Inatra makes good content about this. Whenever you want to change your tires, you need the super long torque wrench. I think it's much more inconvenient than I would want on a street car. Like if you're going to change those wheels, if you're on a road trip and you happen to break down in the wrong area that only has one tire shop, you might have to get real creative to get that center lock off.
Yeah.
I just don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, I would rather not have it, but I get it. Steez Buscemi. When talking about the use of cars, I find the mentions of valet parking to be fascinating, as it's not really a thing here in Melbourne. Is it a cultural thing where in order to seem premium, a venue must have its own parking and valet? And I always get confused at how often I hear valets mentioned. To me, it's a thing I only see in movies. I guess valet parking, not big in Melbourne. I mean, in LA, it's seen...
It's too big.
It is seen as a luxury, right? Luxury restaurants and people put valets. It's also a way to make money, and it's a way to, Otherwise, you at a busy restaurant that doesn't have valet, you might have to look for a while to find parking.
Well, I was a valet for 3 years. So when I moved to LA, the first apartment I had was a crappy apartment in a not good neighborhood, and the parking lot next to me was for a restaurant and a 7-Eleven. And I saw that they had a valet stand, and I was like, what? I was just confused. So when you pulled in, you had to tell the valet, I'm going to 7-Eleven, not the restaurant. That had 8 spots.
Yeah.
What I figured out it is in a lot of LA, there's just not enough parking lot for the restaurant, so they street park the cars. So the valet will handle that for you. Otherwise, you could be driving around for half an hour looking for a street spot.
Yeah.
So it's really like it's a way for the restaurant or parking lot to make extra money and a way for them to kind of, air quotes, solve the parking shortage.
Yeah. But it's like the movie Clueless is very accurate. What's the point? Everywhere you go has valet, which is very, very true. Will you scroll down, please? Chappie says, "Oh, just got their first Panerai." No, Chappie, I have a Panerai. I do like them. I just don't like them at full price. I like them at a deeply discounted price. Oh, wow. Meh recently took over my father's 997 Turbo Cabrio and love it. Great car. Super low miles and a 6-speed. But I can't help but think it's too fast to really enjoy. You wind it out in third and you're doing $115. Yeah, the 997 Turbo is a very, very fast car. Would I get the same driving enjoyment from a 993 non-turbo? I like, basically, I think you could, assuming it was okay with your dad, if you sold that, a 4,000-mile 997 turbo cab 6-speed is a hell of a car. I think you could sell it for quite a lot of money, and you could get into a great 993. And 993s are really nice to drive. They're a lot of fun. They are fun. You don't need the turbos. They're fun in a different way. If you can get an S, that would be great. That might be hard, but you might be able to get an S for that kind of money, depending on what that turbo gets. But yeah, you can rev it out a little more. It's not insanely fast, but they're very pleasant to drive.
Yeah,
and they are a little bit smaller. Okay. Ryan Copper's Pan Addiction. Bought a great 981 Boxster 2.5 years ago. I've daily driven it almost 40,000 miles and still love it. Thinking of adding a second car to tackle light off-roading and get to fun places around Arizona that the Boxster can't. It needs to be not huge, reliable, and under $15,000. Is an early 2000s Tacoma a bad idea? I don't necessarily need a truck bed. Well, you can get a 4Runner. A 4Runner is a Tacoma SUV, basically.
If you can get one of those for under 15, I mean, a Tacoma is a great solution for what you're proposing because it is reliable.
Yeah.
And it will off-road very well, and they last a long time, and I think they hold their value pretty good. But if you can get a 4Runner, then get that.
Yeah. I wouldn't get a pickup truck if you don't need the truck bed.
Yeah.
That's a compromise you don't need to make. Again, Wrangler. I mean, $15K will get you a totally serviceable Wrangler.
Also, Mike Musto did this. You can get a 90s Cherokee.
Oh, the Grand Cherokee. Yeah.
I mean, either one, because the regular Cherokee with the 4-liter is a Wrangler engine, but it just has an SUV body. And then the Grand Cherokee drives much nicer. That drives like an SUV, and you can put a lift kit on them and like handle some mild stuff.
Yeah, they're all right.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Make sure the transmission's been looked at.
Yeah.
Those had a tendency to fail.
Yeah. Couple options for you. Could you scroll it down, please? Let's see. All-wheel drive bias. Can an engine with a lot of personality make up for a flawed chassis, transmission, suspension, etc.? Yes. See early AMG. Would you rather have a video with an interesting engine or good everything else but with a lackluster engine?
Well, now, do we mean good engine and then the car is ugly, dynamically, too soft? I think, okay.
Interesting engine and meh rest of car
everything.
Versus good rest of car and meh engine.
Well, that's like Cadillacs that had the North Star,
Yeah.
Quick enough, put some pipes on it, would sound good, but the car was like just too soft, milk toast, whatever.
Yeah.
The other side is...
I'd probably rather have the engine. It's more important that the engine is good than that the rest of the car is good. To me.
And a Miata. Like, what camp does the Miata fall into? I mean, the engine is durable.
No, everything else is
not
the
magic.
engine's not.
Right.
Yeah, the engine's not keeping me around.
Right.
Yeah, it's everything else.
I think I would go with the everything else and a whatever engine.
Okay. El Gato, you guys have said your personal cars tend to be older classics because you have access to press cars as journalists. True. Mm-hmm. In another life where you are not a journalist, what might your personal car collection look like?
Oh, shit.
I think I would have one SUV and one sports car, and then one modern sports car, and then one older sports car. So like just a pared down version of kind of what I have now. Like electric SUV daily, and then, you know, maybe the Porsche and the NSX, something around those lines, and then a motorcycle.
I think I would have two cars. I think I'd have some sort of off-road thing and a newer sports car that would have a car payment. I'm not sure what it would be, like GR86 or something, but I'd probably change cars every 2 years.
I love a leased daily. I love the not having to worry about it that I have.
A leased sports car is probably where I would end up.
Yeah?
I know that financially it's not the smartest idea, but
then you could treat it like it's a rental?
Yeah, I could treat it like it's a rental. It's a press car I have forever and that I don't have to make content for. Like, that's what it would kind of be. And then I'd be able to change flavors all the time.
Yeah.
Because now I don't have to do that because we get to drive so much stuff.
Yeah. Here for Matt's Cats. They asked two, but I'm going to pick one. What's a car everyone else seems to love that you cannot get on board with, and why? Shit on something.
Sure.
Everyone else seems to love.
That everyone, I mean, that's the harder part. Like, I think I haven't driven the newest Aventador, but the ones I've driven, I think, are less impressive than Huracans or equivalents in terms of handling. The Huracan gives me enough Lamborghini experience in terms of noise, performance, look, everything, that the Aventador, I go, oh, this just kind of understeered when I've driven them.
The early ones certainly did.
I know you said the new ones, they fixed it.
Yeah, by the time they got to SV and shit,
by the time I got there, I'm like, this car's
Revuelto goes
too
around
big.
corners like amazing. Yeah. Something everyone else loves. I mean, anything, all of the Exo cars. And I haven't tried a Nomad yet, but like Ariel Atom, Exocet, KTM.
Anything with no body.
Anything with no body. I think that separates the cars from motorcycles. I have yet to drive a car with no body that's as good as a motorcycle, and you could get just as hurt.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would love to try the Nomad, but frankly, if I was going to go off-roading, I also want a body.
It's only good at off-roading on dirt roads.
Sure.
As soon as I high-centered on a mostly flat dirt straw road.
Yeah,
like
that's
on,
not
on
great.
a sand hill.
That's not so great.
Yeah.
The idea of it is great, but I don't think I want that. Yeah. Let's see. Tim says, which 991 Turbo S would be a more interesting daily driver? Magnus's high mileage turbo or the one I just sold, the mint green over tan? I mean, I don't know about interesting. I mean, certainly the one with 180,000 miles or whatever is more interesting.
It's a more interesting
especially if
story.
you're Magnus.
Well, I think if you pulled up to any car meet and someone said, oh, and they ask about it, and if you say this one has nearly 200,000 miles and you go, this one is super expensive, people will go, that one looks amazing, well done. This one, oh, wow.
Tell me about that.
They'll ask more questions.
Yeah. Squircle Jerk. I've noticed that Mercedes S-Class coupes have depreciated into the $30,000 to $40,000 range. Is this a steal considering these were six figures, or does the maintenance make them a no-go? It's both. It is a steal because the cars are overwhelmingly well-made cars, and they will ride and drive and handle very nice if they're maintained properly. But also they cost a goddamn fortune to fix.
If things go wrong.
And they're out of warranty, and they might be approaching. Mercedes have like an A service and a B service, and like alternates. It's like every 5,000 miles it's the A service, every 10,000 it's the B service. And so, if you're coming up on the B service or whatever, if there's a C service that's like every 100K or whatever, you might be looking at a fucking enormous maintenance bill. So PPI.
Yeah.
PPI, my friends.
I'll tell you what, there were a lot of CLSs, E55 AMGs, like this generation E-classes and CLSs at the car meet. And there was like 20. So I think people have jumped on
People have
them.
figured this out?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this Mr. Heisenberg question. I feel like we should save it, though, for a bigger topic. Because I want to put some thought into that one.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
We'll save that one for later. Ivan Capote, can you make a V8 first-gen RS5 handle well? I mean, you could make it handle better, but those V8 Audis are famously very nose-heavy cars, and so there's only so much you can do. And in order to make that front end stick better, you might have to compromise the ride or the camber, or you might have to fuck something up in order to make it turn in.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to go big tire, maybe lots of spring.
Yeah.
And was the weight balance still weird back then?
Very
like
forward.
They hadn't moved it back a lot.
Very
so
forward.
I think that's like the RS3 you drove. I mean, you have to go smaller wheels in the back.
Yeah,
and
you could do a reverse stagger.
You do reverse stagger. It's going to make it
tramline
better.
maybe.
Yeah, but it might tramline and all those things. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's... And yeah, in a magazine test against the Mercedes and the AMG at that time, it was probably the worst handling of those three cars. But that doesn't mean it's like bad.
Right.
Like it handles fine for road driving, you know, it'll if you're playing within the limits of grip, which on roads you really should be, then it's fine. You know, it's just not on a racetrack when you're really pushing it. Yeah, it's like understeery, but on a windy road, it's pretty much fine. Is that
and that is it. And they may have ridden better than those early, you know, the M3 or the C63 was competing against, because the M3 was always really tight. So yeah, it was more responsive on the track. It had better weight balance, but on a bumpier road where you're just kind of flowing along, RS5 might shine.
The RS5 was pretty nice. Like it wasn't like terrible.
No, it sounded good. It was a GT car.
Yeah, and that engine sounds rad.
Yeah,
that 4.2. It's a great sounding engine.
German Aston Martin, maybe kind of. It's a little bit of the flavor.
It's got that timing chain. You know, fucking. I kind of like
the 4.2, dude. Sounds awesome.
Great sounding motor.
Yes.
Yeah. Put the fucking bright exhaust on it. What a treat. Well, by the time you guys hear this, I will be in Arizona on the Road and Track Arizona Desert Run. That one is obviously sold out because we're doing it fucking right now. But come drive with me in April in Texas. Go to experiences.roadandtrack.com and sign up for our Beyond Austin Limits. What have they called it? Beyond City Limits. They've called it Beyond City Limits. It's the Austin one. It's Texas Hill Country with some track time at Coda and luxury hotels and great food and drinking. It's going to be a good time, that one. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the program, and we'll see you later.